Just because someone is a big name doesn't mean that they are safe. Our names, Andre Snellings and Aaron Ataide. And Dre, here are some superstars that you might consider to send on away. Professor, where do we start? This is going to cause some controversy.
Oh, yeah. First one is a shocker. We're going with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Oh, my goodness.
SGA, come on down. But it's not for the reason you think. He's probably going to be the MVP this season, and he's a baller. But there will never be a time when his value is higher, and the Thunder are running away with the West. They're already up by almost 10 games. And so I could imagine a scenario where he's sitting down the stretch.
Yes.
And if that's the case, then we don't want him on our squad during the fantasy basketball playoffs.
Yes. For perspective, last year SGA missed 6 out of OKC's last 10 games and played on a minutes restrictions in 3 out of those 4 that he did play. So we're talking about compensation.
Yeah.
What can I get out of SGA?
I want the sky. He's arguably the best player in fantasy hoops. So I'm starting with Luka Doncic and adding from there. I want some really good value back if I'm going to move my best player.
All right, now let's move on. Who else you got?
In my second slot, I've got Tyrese Halliburton.
Okay.
And I know very recently
wow.
I said on here he could be a top 10 fantasy player for the rest of the season. And he still could be. But he has re-injured the same hamstring that he has injured time and time again. And last season, once he injured it, he was never the same. So I'm trying to get ahead of that and move on from him while he's still at high value.
Last week we were praising him. This week we're ditching him out. It's a cruel, cruel world in the fantasy world. Where do we go with the number 3 name on this list?
For number 3, it's so cold.
Oh, wow.
I'm going with the ice tray, Trey Young. And again, it's not because he plays poorly. It's because he's always rumored to be on the trade block.
Yeah.
And if the Hawks move on from him, then he's not going to have the same green light anywhere else that he has in Atlanta.
It's all about having a stability of making sure your team is not going to be changed through trades. We got one more. Where are we going?
Greatest shooter of all time, Steph Curry.
Oh, my
Come on
goodness.
down. Curry is at that point in his career where he's not necessarily able to do it night in and night out. And the Warriors do not look like championship contenders this season. So I could imagine him slowing down the stretch.
I mean, it seems blasphemous to even mention it, but I have to agree. Steph got dealt in my league, and I can pretty much see that team starting to move a little bit further down. So happy for me. One of these days, stay on your team. Will you be making a move? We are all out of time right now, but we will be seeing you on espn.com/fantasy for more insights on getting your team to the top of the league. For Andre Snellings, I'm Aaron Ataide. We'll see you next time.